So this morning, we're going to take a little bit of a road trip. One of the guys I used to work with, Dustin, he ended up getting into ag spraying, using the drones to spray crop fields, and he's just a few miles down the road. He texted me and we're going to go check that out. All right, I'm out here where the guys are spraying with their drone. This is a Hylio, I think 230, and it holds 8 gallons in it. And they're using it to spray this corn right here. Crazy the amount of wind that comes off of that thing. I bet you that thing's about an 8-foot diameter. That thing's huge. The amount of air that thing moves is impressive. All right, here's the drone that they're using. It is a Hylio. I think it's a Texas company. This is where it's out of. It's got 8 copters. It has 2 spray tanks on it. And they're each 4 gallons each. So 8 gallons. I think there's a spray pump on each side, probably for each tank. And this is a pretty cool drone. It's got to be at least 8 foot in diameter. And takes about, I don't know, 8-10 minutes for it to get out there and to empty the tanks. And then when it comes back, they change out the batteries, they fill it back up, and then they send it right back on its way. And it's just rinse and repeat till the whole field's done. So right here is the trailer that they use for the drone spraying. They've got a spot here on the back where you can put 2 drones back here and carry them. But they've got a water tank on here, and then they've got a chemical tank for mixing everything up. So they put their chemicals in here. They add the proper amount of water to it. They've got like a flow meter on here so they can actually monitor exactly the amount of water they're adding to it. And then they can circulate that, get it all mixed up. And then the chemical runs back here to this hose reel, and then they can take it out to the drone and fill it up. And these guys are spraying fungicide and insecticide on the corn. That's what they're putting out today. And then on the side of the trailer, they've got a total of 5 charging stations for the batteries. It looks like each one charges 2 batteries. That way, by the time the drone comes back, they pop in a new set and it's just continuous. But that one drone that's running, they've got it looks like you've got, what, 5 sets of batteries for that drone? That's to be able to keep it going, to charge them fast enough to keep it going. And it's all ran by a PC. It downloads the program into the drone. It gives it a pattern to go over the field. And then they've got an antenna up here so they can actually monitor everything that's going on. So normally they got 2 drones going. They got another set of chargers on this other side for the other drone, but they're doing a little bit of work on it right now. So they're only doing 1 drone right now, but this pretty neat little setup that they have here. So far they said they've done 1,500 acres with this drone setup this year. One other thing, over here on the side they do have a generator that's running to be able to power all the pumps and everything while they're out here in the field. This is kind of like the new thing. This is replacing crop dusting, so they can put down chemical on the field more accurate. You don't have to worry about the overspray problem as much. And it's definitely been crop dusting season right now. We've had crop dusters around our house for like the last 2 weeks, almost every day it seems like. And if you ever seen them, they gotta stay high, try to get close to the crops, but they're spraying quite a bit more chemical on there when they're doing it. Maybe not chemical, but they're probably dilute it down, but it's quite a bit more liquid that they're spraying onto the crop, so you got a better chance, I think, with overspray getting not where you want it when you're spreading it from a plane. Now the drone, it's only like 20 feet above the crops, and then the propellers actually help push, you know, disperse that chemical and push it down toward the ground. So I think it's actually a really neat way of using these drones in agriculture. And since I've got a, you know, I fly a drone for the channel, I've got a drone license myself, I thought it's pretty neat to just come out here and see this kind of thing, because considering I fly a drone for making my videos, so I thought it was fairly neat to just come out and see myself. All right, they're loaded up and ready to go to the next spot. So it's been long enough now since Maya has had the AI treatment that we can actually give her a pregnancy test. So we're gonna get her in the chute tonight, and we gotta draw some blood. Hi Maya, go on through, sweetie. There you go.
All right, so I have to draw blood from Maya's tail. I've never done this before. I've watched some videos, and it seems like we only need about 2 cc's, so a little less than this. I'm just gonna clean her tail off first, and then we'll put it in this vacutainer and send it off. Got it. Good girl. Come on. Come on, honey.
So it took a few tries to get it.
Yeah, I've never drawn blood from a cow, but I've watched a few videos, but now I think I know where I'm supposed to go, so.
Yeah, there's like a certain place in the tail where there's a vein, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's an artery and a vein. You can hit either one.
Okay.
So.
Well, we got our sample. It gets mailed off tomorrow, and then...
They test on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so.
How do they send it to us?
It said you can either do it by phone, fax, or email. I chose email.
Okay, so they'll email us.
Yeah.
So, okay, by the end of the week, next week, we may know if Maya's pregnant or not. So, keep your fingers crossed. Well, I just finished up doing the morning chores, and it has started to rain. I looked at the radar. It looks like it's going to rain for like the next 3 hours. So, I think today it's going to be a better day to work inside of the workshop. I've got some Allis Chalmers parts that I want to get cleaned up so that I can get them ready to paint. I'm sure there's some other stuff in there we can find to do. So what I want to do is get the paint stripped off the center hub for the wheels on the Allis Chalmers. I've got 2 of these to do. I'm just going to be using wire wheels to do it. So I've got a 7-inch grinder with a wire wheel. This thing is a beast. It will wear you out after you use it for a while. Got a couple die grinders here that's got different wire wheels attached to it. That's to get in some of the smaller spots. And then I've got another angle grinder with a cupped wire wheel. And hopefully between all of this I can get the paint stripped off. And this is very dusty doing this. It's going to get probably everything in this room covered in like a layer of orange dust by the time I'm done. So I've been kind of dreading doing it. I'd probably rather do it outside, but it's just way too hot. And today it's raining, so let's get to it. I got both of the wheel hubs completely cleaned up and ready for paint. I think they turned out pretty good. Well, there's definitely like a haze in this room. It makes everything completely covered in like a light layer of orange dust. I don't know what my face looks like. I'm afraid I have probably a mark from the mask, but if you look at my arm, I've got orange dust all over it. Let me peel my glove back. Can you see the color difference there? That's how dirty I am right now, just from cleaning 2 wheel hubs. So I'm gonna go ahead, blow myself off, clean up a little bit, and then I think it stopped raining. We can head back outside. So on the Allis Chalmers, I did get 2 coats of orange paint on here. I did put the hardener in the paint. I think I mixed everything up the way you're supposed to, and it turned out great. I don't see nothing wrong with it. The last paint job I did would chip real easy, but then the paint also seemed soft. You could scratch it off with your fingernail. So it just didn't harden up. And this one turned out good. It seems like you're scratching glass. I mean, this is, I think we've got a good paint job now. So I think I've got the method down, and hopefully the rest of the parts we paint will turn out good, and then when we get enough of them painted up, we'll start putting this back together. So I ended up buying a new waterer for the meat chickens. And this is a Plasson or a Plasson chicken drinker. And it's got this little water trough that goes all the way around it, and it auto fills up this trough, keeps it full of water for chickens to be able to drink out of it. It's got this little adjustable valve on top that you can adjust your water level with. And you just supply this with gravity fed water. You don't use pressurized water. You just need a container of water that is higher than the drinker. And then you hook up this rubber hose to it, and it just autofills as needed. And that's what you see a lot of the people that's doing pastured poultry, you know, when they're running several chicken tractors full of poultry, they're using these Plasson or Plasson waterers. It's pretty common to see them. And we're gonna set it up on our chicken tractor. But we gotta make a modification for it to hold the 5-gallon bucket of water, and then we can get this set up. And I think this will be easier than the chicken waterers I have that you have to take apart, put back together every day when you fill them. Well, I found some scrap pieces of wood that I've cut down, and I've got a bucket of some old screws. So this is going to be all recycled material. So this is going to be my bucket holder, and that's one side. So I found some scrap pieces of wood, and I put this together. It's going to hang on the side of the chicken tractor. And I've got it kind of notched out here on top. Hopefully you can see that. And that bucket is going to fit right in those notches. So then it's going to hold the bucket of water. And it shouldn't, you know, slide out. So I think that'll work. See if we can get it mounted and get it all set up. So I think I'm just going to mount this bucket holder right here on the center of the back, somewhere in here. I think that'll ride. All right, no more of this water. Luckily I already got a chain hanging in here. All right, just run the tubing out to the bucket. So to hook this tubing into the bucket, you just gotta drill a hole that's slightly smaller than the tubing. And then you take that tubing and just squeeze it into the hole. Tight enough fit that it doesn't leak. All right, bucket's full. So on this chicken water, you can see how it's pouring out here and filling up the trough. And to adjust that, there's a spring in here. You just turn this top nut right there at the top, and you can adjust how full this fills up. There is, I think, 4 or 5 chickens around it right now drinking from it. So I think they'll take to it fairly quickly. The old water, it was red as well. But this whole setup will move with the tractor every day. And all I gotta do is top off that bucket. I know some people will put a lid on there to keep, you know, bugs and stuff from getting in the water. I may end up doing that whenever I can pick up a lid, but I think I'm gonna like this setup way better than taking them waters apart every day. So over the last couple months, I've been trying to streamline the chores so that you can get all your daily stuff done in less than an hour. At least that's what I'm shooting for on most days. And I put water floats, like float valves, on all the water troughs so they autofill. I'm not filling up water anymore. I bought a couple more fence reels a month or two ago, and I just bought 2 more of these fence reels, and I'm gonna put a 1/4 mile of poly braid on here. That brings me to a total of 8 reels. And we always set up a 2-wire fence since we have sheep, so that allows me to set up 4 temporary fences now. And I also bought another 50 of these step-in posts because I actually ran out. I didn't have enough posts for the amount of fence I had, so I was always having to take fence down to put fence up. And it just seems like 1 week you tear down a fence, it's a few weeks later you set the same one back up. So I'm hoping that with enough reels here, I might be able to at least get a couple places of temporary pasture set up where I can leave them at least set up for several months without having to tear them out, and that'll speed things up quite a bit as well. And that reminds me, I've got a fence charger set up out here. It's our back fence for this front pasture. So we got a front fence of 2 wires, and then we got a back fence of 2 wires. That uses up 4 reels. But I've got a fence charger out there that's only on a battery. Doesn't have a solar charger. It's not plugged into a wall, and I need to get out there and I need to recharge that battery before it goes dead. So I just brought my power station out here to power the charger. And this is the back fence for where we're doing these warm season annuals, grazing them. So as we look at this front field, you can see this is the back fence right here that I just put the charger on. And this one over here, this is the far fence. It's got the solar charger right there. So this right here is the first section of warm season annuals that we grazed. That's probably been 3 weeks ago, I'd say. And it is already, you know, it's already to the bottom of my rib right here. So that's 3.5 feet tall, probably. You can hardly tell when you look at this that it's even been grazed. You see like these random ones that are a lot taller, and they were obviously the short ones that didn't get bit off, but it has regrown already, and it looks like we could regraze this. I mean, these warm season annuals have kind of amazed me at how well they grow compared to our pastures, which are kind of stagnant, not growing much in this hot weather. So right here is the second section that we grazed of these warm season annuals, and I pulled them off while it was a little bit taller, but you can tell it's been a couple weeks. It hasn't quite recovered. You know, you can still see where the tops of the leaves have been bit off. So you can definitely tell, you can still see the effect of grazing on this one. That's probably been 2 weeks ago, but that first section in 3 weeks, you can't really tell where anything was bit off. All the tips have grown back and it looks really good. But there is still a ton of forage here to be able to graze, that's for sure. So right here, this is the third section, the last section, the one that they're currently on. And we gave them twice as much so that this would last 2 weeks. So this was, you know, that was 1 week, this was 1 week, and now we are coming up on, I think, 2 weeks grazing this on twice as much space. But it's still every bit of 3.5 feet tall. And there's just a ton of forage out here. I just can't get over. I could have planted probably 1/4 of what I planted, and I could have grazed it most of the summer. I've overplanted majorly. I didn't need as much as I put down, so we'll end up probably baling a lot of this up. So now if we look at the other side of the field, all of this was planted 4 weeks after what we're currently grazing. So this is the same height of when we started grazing this side. And I see no reason to graze this because I've got plenty of forage. I think I'll just bale this up and try to turn it into hay bales or silage bales, because if we look forward, like right here is where we stopped. I still have stuff all the way down there. So I've still got at least another 2 weeks going in that direction. And I can already start regrazing down there. So I really only needed like one strip, and I could have grazed this continually for months, I think. I've just majorly overplanted what I thought I needed. I either needed more animals or I needed to plant less. So after 4 weeks of grazing these warm season annuals, I will say I'm impressed with the sheer amount of forage we have and how fast it has grown back. Now, we have had a good amount of rain, but that first section up there, we grazed it down to at least 2 feet. So it grew back 1.5 feet in the last like 3 weeks. So that's pretty impressive, I think. And it'll be even taller in 5 weeks when we finally get back there. So definitely something I think I'll do in the future. I won't do as much as this. I probably will do maybe just like 3 acres maybe of this, and I will have plenty of forage, I think, for the hot months, or at least to get me through the hot months of summer. And I think this is something that I will do again next year, but just in a smaller scale. So Rebecca got home from work just a few minutes ago, so that means it's quitting time for me as well. And I don't really feel like I got too much done today. With the rain and everything, it kind of really slowed me down. But I think the weather looks better the rest of the week. And I've got a few projects that I know are probably multi-day projects, 2-3 days to do. And hopefully the weather holds off enough that I can get those done. But I think that's going to be it for this video. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.